Okay, we are going to work on a few more problems from the September assessment. This next one is negative 12 in parentheses to the second power, or negative 12 squared. So this little 2 here means you're going to multiply everything it's attached to 2 times. So this is negative 12 times negative 12. Well, 12 times 12, if you aren't sure about that one, we can do it over here. 12 and 12. This will be a quick practice in that procedure, which we're going to do on the next one also. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Place value holder. Move on to the tens place. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Add all that up. 4 plus 0, 2 plus 2, 1. So it's 144. So we have 12 times 12 is 144. But we also have a negative here. So if we had negative 12 times 12, that's going to give us negative 144 because it's 12, negative 12 times. But we also have a second negative here. So they kind of cancel each other out. So negative 12 times a negative 12, is going to actually go back to the positive version. So this one is your answer for that problem. All right, the next problem is, take a look at it, 8.37, and then a parenthesis and a negative 5.3. So when two things are right next to each other and there's parentheses right there, that means multiplication. So this problem is a multiplication problem. This is not 8.37 minus 5.3. This is 8.37 times negative 5.3. So I'm going to ignore the negative for now. I'm going to multiply the numbers. The negative is going to make my answer negative. I'll just put that back in at the end. So I'll draw this kind of large for you. 8.37 times 5.3. And we don't have to line up our decimals because we are not adding or subtracting. We just have to put them all in at the very end of the problem. So I'm going to start here. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to regroup that too. And now I'm going to move on. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. Bring that one up. And finally, 3 times 8 is 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next digit, but I first need my place value holder because I'm now working in the second place value, so I need to have that 0 there. And I'm going to start over again with my arrows. 5 times 7 is 35. Regroup that 3. Oh, forgot to cross off my regroupings. Always do that so you don't accidentally add them a second time. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 more is 18. Regroup the 1. And then finally 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 1 is 41. Now I have to put this all together. Let me get a different color. Put this all together. 1, 6, 13, 3, 4, and 4. Now it might look like my answer is 44,361, but I can't forget about my decimal places. Let me move that up a little bit. So the easiest way that I can come up with, if I kind of erase these little arrows I drew in here to show you what I was doing. The easiest way to figure out where to put your decimal on your answer is simply to count up how many there are in the problem and put that many in the answer. So here's your decimal. So there's 2 decimal places right there. And here's another decimal. So there's 1 more right there. So I have 1, 2, 3 decimal spots in my problem. So I need to have 1, 2, 3 in my answer. So that's going to tell me where to put my decimal. The only thing I have left to do is I can't forget about that negative sign. It has to come down here. So my answer is negative 44.361. All right, one more problem. That problem is 0.95 minus 3.49. Okay, this one is subtraction. There's no parentheses around it. It's not multiplication. It's just subtraction. This one might seem kind of tricky. So how do you take a number that's smaller and subtract a number that's bigger? So there's a couple of different ways to think about this. One way is to think that when you are subtracting, you're simply taking the distance between two numbers. Another one would be to consider a simpler example. So this is kind of close to 1, right? 0.95. And this is, we'll just say it's kind of close to 3. So if you were going to do 1 minus 3, you might start at 0 and go forward 1, and then go negative direction 1, 2, 3, and you would end up at negative 2, right? But then you could take this answer and look back up at the original problem and think, well, 3 minus 1 is 2. And I just needed the negative in front of it because they're in the wrong order. So that is the easiest way that I can say to think about how to do your problem, how to set it up. So what you want to set it up as is the second number minus the first number, but your answer, you're going to put a negative sign in front of it because it's backwards. So, and everything backwards usually ends up being negative. So I'm going to set it up over here, 3.49, and I'm going to subtract 0.95. And whatever my answer is, I'm just going to take the opposite of it. You do have to line up your decimals when you're adding and subtracting decimals. So 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 minus 9, can't do 4 minus 9, right? I'll switch colors so you can see my work. 9 minus 5 is 4. You cannot do 4 minus 9. You can't take 9 from 4. So you're going to have to regroup from the next place value up. So take 1 from there, move it down here as 10 of the next, so that becomes a 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. Bring down your decimal so you don't lose your place value. 2 minus 0 is 2. So the only thing left, because these are in the wrong order, we subtracted them in the wrong order, is just to add that negative sign on there. So this is just kind of what we were thinking to help us understand the easiest way to set up this kind of a problem. This is not the answer. This is just a thought process over here. This is your answer.